Hello from Bali. This is a podcast Pigeon of Peace where we do discuss awesome skills of troubleshooters. Watch, listen, and check the description below for the details. Let's talk about high technology and let's start with the definition.
If we talk about agriculture, about food processing, about plumbing, and etc., we will talk about just usual technology or business as usual. But high technology is something on the cutting edge. It could be like producing microprocessors. It could be producing of something which could be used in the space. It is a strategy how to will make or create a moon base.
And when we look into the high technology, probably maybe the first question from the amateur would be, hey, like why companies or why maybe even countries can't really copy each other? Like what exactly is so complex in, like let's say building microchips, why it takes so long to replicate certain stuff? So if we look into this, what leads at the core, at the nature of each technology and why it might be hard to develop it and, like maybe even replicate?
I will make an answer in a very strange way. Do you remember it was a politician in Russian arena? His name was Zhirinovsky. And once he was asked why Germans so good in medicine, why they produce so good pills and pharmaceuticals stuff. And his answer was quite amusing because he told, do you remember the time of the Second World War? A lot of people, they were put in concentration camps and there were conducted a lot of experiments under the human nature. And yes, it was maybe prohibited right now, but no one else was using such a material in such a long way. So it gives to Germany quite a good time to be ahead of the world. The same would, for example, with nukes. Americans, they started to produce Manhattan Project, and scientists who were involved, they decided if just one country would have a nuke sword, it could make threats to other governments and countries which is not accessible. Let's talk about, for example, setting up satellites around the Earth. Just 5 countries right now are capable to do this. For example, is it capable? Is it capable, for example, for I don't know, for Papua New Guinea to make this? No. Or for example, to Morocco or to Egypt, they are not yet solved their problem at the land. So they have no scientists, they have no materials, they have no technologies to do it right now.
And when we actually look into the supply, it could be, like a brain or maybe even the legacy. So what might be the main things for, let's say, country or again, like maybe a huge corporation in order to develop something successful or even to come up with a good invention? What kind of base of the scientists they should have? What kind of access to the materials or maybe what kind of access to, I would say, another technologies they should possess in order to make further and certain steps?
Let's look in automotive industry. There are Tesla and BUD and some other Chinese companies which are compete to create as most efficient as it possible so-called electrical cars. But they are going in quite equal race. Neither Tesla, neither BUD couldn't win because everyone is under pressure of understanding that the price was not just the high technology, the price is leadership, and this is about country. Do you remember the time when Soviet Union and USA were racing the space movement, and it was very important to send first satellite, to send first man, to set moon base and something like this. But after for almost 50 years, nothing next was done. The reason was it is very expensive. And if you have no competitors, you have no reason to continue your race. So, for example, let's remind our watchers about microprocessors. Right now, Taiwanian company TSMC is ready to produce some kind of chips with 2 nanometers technology, but just 10,000 of microchips per month could be created because amount of, I don't know how to say, defects is almost 90%, and maybe in 6 months it would be improved, but anyway the price is too high, and for example Apple couldn't set up those microchips in their phones because they will increase in price, but company is under pressure of the market values.
And when we look into this, it seems that we do have like a big infrastructure, a lot of the budgets, a lot of risks here and there, but it's also might be like a threat that comes from the outside. You know, other countries or people or group of people might be looking for the technology as well. So how the protection of this high-tech technologies, or maybe, you know, like institutions, or maybe the staff, I mean, the personal also could go, because some of the technology could be really sensitive. Some of them could be really crucial in, you know, like getting the dominance at certain areas. So how the institution body could ensure that it's well protected and it's not going to be landed in the wrong hands?
Let's think about time like 50 years ago. After Second World War, Japanese government decided to give some money to the industrial companies which will produce copying machines, computers, printers, and so on. And they were stealing all the invention which was made by German, by French, by Spanish, Italian, American people, and it was just the matter of the price, and they created very efficient technology. But if we will think how Japan is developing right now, we will know that they are going quite in the Stone Age, because they even now use 3-inch diskettes, and they do not allow to put flash drive in the government computers. If we'll think about, for example, America, they have a hope to create microchips in Arizona by their own, but if they will use American labor, the prices would rise up in 30%. So it is not economically possible. It was a time when Vietnam and Taiwan and Hungary and China were the places where big companies trying to move plants, and now those country has a very high price per hour, not because they could produce a lot of different stuff, because they have a special industrial culture which are not exist in other countries. For example, in Taiwan, people work like 330 days per year, and daily they stay at a job, at work for 10 hours. No one in America or in France or in Spain would work like this. If you will think about countries under the pressure of war, like Israel, like Syria, like Russia, like Ukraine, like some other countries, people in those countries also overpaid because country need ammunition and something like this. And you know, it's very sad to say, but if you have a war, you will very attentive to the technologies. And if you have just peace, you will think how to feed your people and how make them entertain.
Well, I actually was thinking how to come up with a good introduction to the next question, but I think you kind of helped me. So we do have a lot of countries in the world, and maybe it will be more like a philosophical, more like a geopolitical question, whether it's better for them actually to unite, you know, like get the resources, because it's still scarce, you know, like some of the materials, some of the elements, they're quite rare. So instead of fighting for them, why the humanity can't really just, you know, get united and find better ways to coexist in order to develop something that would definitely, you know, like solve the starvation problem, resources problem. Instead, yet there is a, you know, people trying to steal the best dish from the plate, yet they also try to hit other by hands one is trying to steal there. So why can't we do this the opposite way? Why can't we, you know, like do all of this like a sharing stuff and, you know, like moving together faster?
I have several educations and I have all a diploma with great marks. And when I was on psychology, I learned a very easy trick. If you have a quarrel with somebody or debates or some sport,
Contest.
contest, you should ask, for example, something like this: Do you mind if I ask you a question? Is there any доказательства?
Proofs?
If there are any proofs which would help you to understand me, and if there is an answer, nothing, you should stop those debates because it has no ends. But also I was taking lectures for geopolitics, for strategy, and I learned very strange things. Okay, if we are two persons, you, Maxim Golubь, and I am Oleg Bragинский, and we could talk about sport, about hobby, about literature, about pronunciation, about some maths, we could have an agreement. But if we are countries, we have so multi-layer cake that on some layers we would be friends forever, on some layers we would be enemies. For example, even right now when USA has 16,000 sanctions against Russia, they still contain to buy some chemicals and удобрения, fertilizers, and so on. And Russians also make vice versa. If we'll think how we cooperate with China, it is the same. Sometimes China is setting up on our side. Sometimes it is going to be just opposite. The same with Turkey. And now in Russia, a lot of jokes about Recep Erdogan because he is trying to sit on several chairs at the same time.
And then my last question will be how knowing about high technologies could help to make this world a better place.
We have some people which now could die because we have no medicine for them. And maybe in 5 or 10 years, we will develop some pills against cancer, about AIDS, and some other very dangerous stuff. The same with viruses. Yes, it was quite a bad time for everyone. We have quarantine almost on all continents on the planet. But from other side, it was a good jump to understand that we need new scientists in virusology. So it doesn't matter what happens. We should understand that the chain of случайностей,
coincidences,
the chain, thank you, of coincidences create us as civilization. And for other planets, there are no sun and no humanoids or some other animals which could create civilization. So if we will create high technologies for curing people, for clean energy, and to change our habits, it would be quite great and our world will become better.
It will be great indeed. And we review the skill of high technology and how it could help you make the world a better place. Stay in peace.